Fox 9's Town Ball Tour is presented by St. Cloud Subaru and JTR Roofing.
And good evening from Waseca, Minnesota, as we continue our Fox 9 Town Ball Tour. This is Tink Larson Field, home of the Braves. They'll face off against the Wanamingo Jacks in about 2 hours, but right now there is a teen VFW game getting ready as we speak. You can see that from our drone shot above. And good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kelsey Carlson. This is beautiful Tink Larson Field. And this is a brand new grandstand rebuilt after a terrible fire in 2016. We have a lot to cover here tonight, over 3 hours. We have the game, we have the VFW game here behind us. We have Ian Leonard out and about in the town of Waseca. And we'll be talking to Tink Larson himself, the man whom this field is named after. He was not only a coach here, but also the caretaker of the grounds. So Amy, I'm going to toss it back to you for now, but we'll be back in just a little bit with much, much more.
All right, a lot more fun to be had out in Waseca tonight. We want to check back with our Kelsey Carlson out at Tink Larson Field, our latest stop on the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour. Kelsey?
Hey, Amy, yeah, we've got a great night here. It's beautiful right now, hoping to avoid that rain. We've had a couple of showers. VFW game going on before the Waseca Braves take the field in about 2 hours. Now, there's a lot of history here with this team. They date back to the 1800s, and there are photos from back in that time as well, back when the team was known as the Ecos for a local flour company. In the 1900s, there were actually 4 African-American players who helped to carry the team to victory in the state championships as one of the first integrated teams in the United States. Waseca Community Field was built in 1939, replacing a rickety fence with a grandstand and walls. And it stood for 77 years, eventually renamed Tink Larson Field after the head coach of the Braves. And in 2016, and this was a really tough one for this area, an arson fire destroyed the grandstand. The arsonist has never been caught, so it is an unsolved case. But moving forward, this community has rebuilt this grandstand. They came together in a phenomenal way. And really, it was a statewide effort as well. I'm going to bring Paul Bloom in on this. And the effort to rebuild this grandstand, because what this field means to the community, was really incredible. And so you had a chance to really dive into that.
I did. It's an incredible story. Hundreds of donors came forward to help. At the top of the list, the Minnesota Twins, but even small donors, $10, hundreds and hundreds of donations poured in. You know, so many memories, so much history was lost in that blaze, but too many people here in Waseca care about the national pastime. They love baseball, and they rebuilt.
It felt like a punch in the gut. You didn't know what was going on. Just disbelief. Couldn't believe that was actually happening.
Veteran Waseca Braves player Kelvin Nelson insists he will never ever forget the images, racing to the historic ballpark and then watching old Tink Larson Field go up in flames. He found it all the more upsetting when he learned it was arson.
What makes somebody want to do that? Whether it's an accident or not, it's still just frustrating. Because this is second home in the summer. You spend a lot of time here.
3 years later, the case now classified as inactive by investigators who told me they followed up every single lead. All of them dead ends.
I remember standing there watching it burn.
Joan Mooney is the executive director of the Waseca County Historical Society, where archives capture baseball at the heart of this community for well over 100 years. Including some of the earliest documentation of an integrated team playing for the local mill as far back as the early 1900s. So it was no wonder Waseca quickly rebuilt Tink Larson Field.
It's a new story. It's a new story.
And while a lot of history was lost in that fire, the new stadium is absolutely gorgeous. Those who helped with financial contributions for the grandstand are honored on a temporary display inside the stadium with plans for a more permanent thank you in the works. The Braves and the other local teams who call the stadium home still breaking in their new digs that include state-of-the-art construction and modern amenities. The hope going forward is that the new Tink Larson Field continues to make memories for the boys of summer for generations to come.
I just think baseball is just probably the most American thing you can do in the summer months, and to have a town field is really important. It's so simple.
And that entire rebuild cost $1.9 million, but it is fully paid off after all of those donations poured in. And you know, Kelsey, I spoke to investigators today about that arson, and it does remain unsolved. But even to this point, they don't know if it was maliciously set, maybe more of a negligent or even an accidental type fire underneath and maybe a clubhouse or something. They just don't know, but they wanted us, with all the attention we are giving the ballpark today, to just remind viewers out there that if they do have some information, they would like to know what happened that night.
It would be nice to know. And, you know, I did talk to Tink Larson earlier today, and underneath this grandstand, all the mowing equipment and all of that. So if something started in a motor of a mower or something, you know, but it would be nice to know so they could put that to rest and just know that somebody didn't do it intentionally if that was the case.
There's still that hole there in this whole story, but wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, right in the middle of a neighborhood. This is a great park. It's a beautiful place to sit, and it's so nice to see it come back together. All right, coming up in just a minute, we are going to talk to Tink Larson himself. He was a coach here for 50 years, also the caretaker of the grounds. That's why this field is named after him. So we're going to talk to him. And Ian Leonard has weather. He is in a great place to get a pre-game meal right now. Ian?
Well, yeah, we're showing you that Tink Larson is actually here in the middle of a neighborhood. And if you're wondering, what could we possibly do? What is there to do? Yes! 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 We'll be back live with the weather from a trampoline full of kids right here in Waseca. Right after the break. How do I get in here?
Well, welcome back to Tink Larson Field here tonight, home of the Waseca Braves. Put me in, coach, on the PA right now. We're about 2 hours away from the first pitch here as the Braves face the Wanamingo Jacks tonight. And you're getting a live look at the historic ballpark from the Fox 9 drone flying high above the field. And joining me, this is a special interview that I'm really excited about. Tink Larson himself, the man for whom the field is named after. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. And
well, I appreciate it. We're very grateful that you people came down to take the time to give us a little recognition and make this a very special event.
Well, these Town Ball Wednesdays are a treat for us, so we appreciate you letting us come in and take over a little bit.
We've heard a lot of comments around the state about, you know, everybody seems to follow Fox 9 on Wednesday nights because everybody says, hey, did you see this one? Did you see that one? So
you kind of compare.
Yeah,
you know,
so it's not like you're unknown.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Tink, I have a lot of questions I want to ask you, but the first one is, a lot of people probably want to know, how did you get that nickname?
Okay. Well, my dad was Norwegian, and he's talked with an accent and a brogue, and he had some kind of a nickname for me, and I'm not sure exactly what it was, but the kids thought it kind of sounded a little bit like Tinker, so they just, you know, they started calling me Tinker, and then they just changed to Tink, you know, shortened it to Tink. So since I was about 5 years old, that's what it is, and I'd say most of the people in my hometown wouldn't know what my real name is. In fact, a lot of people here probably don't.
Can I guess? Is it Clint?
Yes.
I looked it up.
Okay, that's cheating.
Well, because I was trying to figure out if it was something that had to do with your first name. But, yeah, this is a great field. And it's named for you because for 50 years you were a coach at every level, VFW, Legion, high school, rec leagues, and you were also the caretaker. So you built this place up. And when you started, when you got that job as a high school coach, what kind of shape was this field in?
Well, I don't want to embarrass anybody by saying what it was like back then, but it wasn't in very good shape. For one thing, you know, nobody had really taken that much interest in it. And before I came here, they had 5 different baseball coaches in 5 years. So it wasn't like they had somebody, you know, that was dedicated to the program. And the city just kind of kept it up. There was no base lines. I used to take my car and hook a steel big iron I-beam behind it and drag around and around. And because the base lines, there weren't any base lines. It was just like 15 feet wide in a big circle around the field.
Yeah, I heard you had your kids in the pickup truck, and then you'd have your kids behind the scoreboard as well. You put them to work, so it was a family affair for you guys.
And then my wife ran the concession stand here for all 4 teams that I coached for 44 years. So that was quite a few games, too. So, yeah, we put everybody to use. One of my kids just about got knocked off the scoreboard because there used to be a ledge out there, and they used to put the numbers on. And he was sitting there, and he was probably only, you know, 8 or 9 years old. And a long home run ball came out there, and he leaned to the side a little bit. It just missed him, hitting him in the head.
You live just right down the street,
yes.
So you can always walk to the field. You lived down the street when the fire happened 2 years ago, and what was that like for you when you looked out your front door and you saw the field on the grandstand on fire?
Well, what would you think if you were laying on the ground here and somebody took a sledgehammer and hit you over the head? It was terrible. We were, I coached over at Minnesota State Mankato, and we had been in St. Cloud that day for a doubleheader, but the second game got weathered out, so we came home early, and otherwise I wouldn't have been here. But so I'd just been home about half an hour, and one of the guys I was coaching VFW at the time, and the guy that I was coaching with, called and says, "Hey, is there something going on at the field?" And I says, "No, I don't think so." And he says, "Well, my brother called and said he thought there were fire engines going down that way." And I looked out the window, and holy cow, the whole thing was in flames.
Your life's work, essentially.
Yeah, 50 years.
50 years.
We had underneath it, we had 2 clubhouses with a shower in between and a bathroom on the end, plus concession standing and equipment room and all that. But in the clubhouse, it had taken us 50 years, but we had carpet on the floor, air conditioning in each room, flat screen TVs in each room. We had cubicles for the players to get dressed in. We had tape players, no matter what you want. We had all of that. So
it's been amazing to see the community come together to make this what it is now.
Yeah.
And so you can be really proud of that. And your life's work was not for anything.
No.
All right. We want to go to Ian Leonard now with a look at the weather. He's out and about in Waseca touring the town. So, Ian, did you get on the trampoline?
Well, let me put it to you this way, Kelsey. I did for about 30 seconds, and I'm exhausted, but we are going to tramp. I want to bring everyone up to date, and I want to tell you, too, that every time we talk about the Fox 9 weather app, and I say it's the same radar we use on the air, it's the same radar I use when we're on location. That's the Fox 9 weather app radar right now, and there are some scattered, weak, rumbling storms rolling around. There's a couple of storms right now between Andover and Buffalo, some working from Egan all the way down to the 35 split, coming down to, say, Elko Newmarket, and just a line of showers and storms off to our west-northwest of Mankato and Waseca right now, and it's going to be that kind of a night. Hit and miss showers. We're not talking about severe weather. We are talking about a quick blast of rain that will have you running for cover. Otherwise, you know what the key was today? The key was less humid. Dew points finally dropped, and that is a trend that will at least keep in place for the next 24 hours. So let me give you a look at the 7-day forecast, because I think you're going to like it. Spotty showers tonight. Into the day tomorrow, should see plenty of sunshine. High temperatures running in the upper 70s and the low 80s. Then as we work toward the weekend, so this little trend for the next 24 hours with low levels of humidity, that quickly changes. As we look toward the weekend, we are talking about temperatures running into the upper 80s and touching 90 and then some. With dew points in the 70s, you know what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about hot and humid. And we're going to be talking about playing on trampolines. Yes! Hi, you guys. What's your name?
I'm Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. What's your name?
Paula.
That's Paula. What's your name?
Patsy.
Hi, what's your name?
Gabriel.
Okay, ready? Ready? Bum drop. Oh, yes. This is the best because, Doug, if you turn around, there's the stadium right there. So, Kelsey, we can see you. You're bouncing. No, we're bouncing. Are we bouncing or are they bouncing?
I think we're bouncing.
Oh, we're bouncing. Okay, I think I might be getting a little too old for this. You know, I didn't think trampolines were this much of a workout. Do you guys ever do the tramp and then watch the baseball game?
Yeah.
We're going at different paces here. Angel, come here. You and I got to sit down, buddy. Come here. We'll let them keep bouncing. Come on over here. I'm exhausted. Angel, how long have you been a professional trampoliner?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, me too. How about you?
AC.
Really? I had no idea. And how do you feel about that? I agree. You know what? Give me 5. You're a rock star. You are too. You're very talkative. I'm glad we got you to finally stop. Okay, I'm exhausted. It is Waseca. It is town ball. Right now it's a VFW game. The town ball game, first pitch at 7:30, and we'll be here live for it all. So, from Waseca, on behalf of the Fox 9 News team, and now the professional trampoline team, we're going to send you live to break. Woo! We'll be back right after this.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour. We are live in Waseca tonight at Tink Larson Field, home of the Braves. First pitch is slated for 7:30, but this is a baseball town, so the field, of course, is not empty right now. This is a busy place. You're watching a youth VFW team. This field also hosts the high school and Legion teams and some rec teams as well. So they are very busy all the time, something going on here at Tink Larson Field. Tonight, the Braves face the Wanamingo Jacks. The Jacks traveled about an hour to be here from southeastern Minnesota. And if you're not familiar with the area of Waseca, it's about an hour and a half south of the Twin Cities. You see the star right there on the map. And thank you so much for joining us. We love doing this on Wednesday nights. It's so much fun for us to do the Town Ball Tour and to see all of these communities and just get a sense of this tradition in Minnesota. You know, earlier this hour, we talked with Tink Larson, the man for which this field is named after. 50 years of coaching and taking care of this field and building it up to what you see now. Actually brought seats in the old stadium before it burned down from the old Met Stadium. So this place just has a rich history, and Tink has been such a big part of that. He's dedicated much of his life and even lives down the street. He's an assistant coach now that he's in his 70s. He says he doesn't mind giving up the reins a little bit because he coached for so long. And this field was rebuilt, of course, after that fire in 2016 that was just devastating. And they dedicated it just last summer. So as we sit here tonight, this grandstand is brand spanking new. It still smells new. Pierre Nugent had a chance to spend some time with Tink Larson, and I want to bring Pierre in now with an opportunity to talk about this man's legacy here. Pierre?
Yeah, Kelsey, there's a reason why this field is named after Tink Larson. When speaking with him yesterday, he just shrugged his shoulders when I asked him why did they name this field after him. He says, I've just been taking care of it for the past 50 years, and his dedication to this town and to baseball is second to none.
Tink himself is one of the greatest ambassadors our state has ever had for baseball.
When baseball is being played in Waseca, it's likely being played at Tink Larson Field, a fitting name for the park considering the man they named it after has been taking care of it for the past 50 years.
I love taking care of baseball fields, and I like to see it nice, and I like to see it, playable for everybody. And I like it that people can just come here and enjoy the game, and they don't, like, the players don't have to do anything, and it's always ready to go. And I don't know, I just love taking care of ballparks.
Maintaining the grounds has truly been a big part of his life.
For the first 45 years, no one had ever touched the mound or the plate or the infield as far as fixing it up or anything.
When the grandstand burned back in 2016, it was a tough sight to see, but Tink's dedication never stopped. And his passion for the game, the field, and Waseca is admired even in the big leagues.
He loves baseball. He loves the Twins. He loves Minnesota. And he loves Waseca. So, Tink obviously was devastated with the loss of the grandstand there and all that had represented, all it had meant to that facility. But throughout that, he kept the field in pristine shape.
Larson has spent so much time working at the park, some might say he practically lives there. In fact, he moved directly next to the field so he could walk just a few paces to continue his work. At this stage, it's more than just maintaining a field. After all, his name is on it, but even if it wasn't, you get the feeling that Tink Larson would be taking care of the ballpark all the same.
I love it because when you're done, you look at it and say, oh, it looks beautiful.
And you heard Tink talk about the first 45 years of its existence. He was taking care of it by himself, but there was one season recently where Minnesota State Mankato was in a deep playoff run, so he couldn't take care of it like he normally would, so he had to enlist a couple of people to help. And he said to me, there's going to be a time where I'm not going to be able to take care of it all by myself, so I might as well pass along some of my knowledge to somebody else. But he's done a great job maintaining this field, and as you can see behind me, it is beloved by so many who play here. Right now, we're going to send it back in the studio. Amy, hopefully the rain stays away here because we've got a couple of baseball games to be coming up. So far so good, and we're going to send it back to you.
All right. Thanks, Pierre. We'll be back. After the historic grandstand was burned down in 2016, it wasn't clear how the city of Waseca was going to continue their homegrown baseball tradition. But in the end, a $100,000 gesture from a friend in the baseball world got that ball rolling, creating the Tink Larson field that we see today. And then after flooding delayed rebuilding, funds to rebuild the grandstand were pretty difficult to find. Well, that is when Minnesota Twins president Dave St. Peter helped to jumpstart that fundraising, promising to donate $100,000 as well as seats, 100 of them from the old Metrodome and 100 more from Target Field. With that help, $1.9 million project then started to look more realistic.
The tragic way that the grandstand there burned to the ground, I think it presented an opportunity for the Twins to play some small role in maybe help lead a community to restore a historic grandstand, to ensure that baseball would once again be played on that same site, and that the kids of the future generations will have the chance to experience the same thing that all the previous generations had.
And then it was 2 years to the day after that fire that the Braves threw their first pitch at that new Tink Larson field. The Minnesota Vikings and the Super Bowl host committee also chipped in $50 grand each. Now, the Twins understood the importance of Tink Larson Field better than most. Joe Mauer, just one of the many now professional baseball players to play on that field as a child. Well, our Kelsey Carlson is down at Tink Larson Field tonight in Waseca. And Kelsey, getting this field rebuilt, not just important to the team, really this is such a big part of Waseca's history.
Oh, absolutely. And to know that the Twins were also part of this, I mean, it extends beyond Waseca. Now, thanks, Amy, for setting all of that up. I have two people with me right now who know about the effort to really put this back together, and that's Mayor Roy Serp and former Mayor John Clemens, because you were both in office when the fire happened and then were part of the rebuilding effort. And just as community members, you have a vested interest in this field as well. So tell me, John, why don't I start with you, what it was like when the fire happened? I mean, for the community, that had to have just such an impact.
Yeah, the night of the fire was absolutely wild and crazy because people were social media saying, oh, you got to see this fire. So, of course, I came down here and watched fire. It was incredible, sad in a way that was happening. And then the next day, I was at work and city staff called me and said, hey, John, Brian Donaldson from the Minnesota Twins would like you to call him. And I was like, wow, I don't know where my glove is, you know, how's this going to work?
Right.
I'm 50-some, how's that, you know? But then I realized what he wanted was he gave his condolences for the loss of the field because it's a baseball community. And he said Dave St. Peter would like me to call him. So I had to Google Dave St. Peter, of course, and figure out, oh, that's... So I called David, and he was extremely, extremely cordial and offered to do anything they could do to help with the rebuilding of the stadium. Now, you have to understand, we don't have a manual on what you do when something like that happens. You can't practice for it. So we were kind of winging it from scratch. And Dave was incredibly generous with his time. He made several trips down here. And he volunteered his grounds crew. And Larry and his staff came down and laid some new solder on home plate. And Dave thought it was so important that we get a game in for the seniors on the high school team yet that year. And we didn't know how to do it, so like I said, he helped get the field in condition. The Twins donated some netting that they had so we could put up a backstop net. And then the night of the game, it was pretty festive, and they brought some bunting down from the stadium. And TC Bear came, and it was pretty festive to have the first game. So.
And Mayor Serp, you were part of the effort to get all of the funds, the names of all of the donors sit here in the grandstand. The original field, Tink had gotten seats from the old Metropolitan Stadium.
Correct.
So, you know, the Twins and Waseca have had this tie for years and years. What was it like getting money, fundraising? Because I'm sure initially you thought, how are we going to do this?
Well, first of all, I had all three of my sons played on this field. They were all three right-handed pitchers. I tried to turn them into left-handed pitchers, but I wasn't successful. And they were all three right-handed pitchers here at this very field, and so we've been around here for a long time. And we've watched game after game after game. And it was incredible how, when it looked like We were at a dead end. People stepped up and came up to the plate and actually helped out, and then we'd run into another brick wall, another dead end, and someone else would come up or some company would come up. The Twins were incredible, absolutely incredible. And, well, they have a vested interest in baseball in the state and in the country, and so it's important to them as well. But the whole community was behind this field because it is a gathering place, always has been, always will be. So.
Well, thank you both for joining me to talk a little bit about that. And the Twins also have a tribute to Town Ball at Target Field. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. It's a great history there. All right, the sun has come back out. We were dealing with some rain showers, got a little bit worried here. But let's check in with Ian Leonard for a look at the forecast. I know he's been enjoying the town of Waseca, Ian.
It is, you know, whenever it's town ball, the thing is town ball, most of the games don't start until 7:30. So the great part about the town ball tour is coming to the town. And in this case, it is the town of Waseca. Oh, and by the way, there's Kelsey. Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey. Wave. There's Kelsey's broadcast position. Look at, ooh, Fox 9 tent, all special lighting. There's a cooler. What do I have? Nothing. This is it. And that's fine because that's what it's all about. Exploring the town where town ball happens. So obviously you've got the Tink. There it is. And it is spectacular in all its glory. But how about we take you on a little tour? And you're saying to yourself, well, how can we do that? Maybe you've got a drone. That would be a great idea. But I've got a better idea. Yes, my friends. Clear Lake Scooters. We're going scootering. We're going to show you around. And in about half an hour, I am going to show you how an old-style car hop delivers hamburgers in and around cars at Barney's Drive-In. But for now, I believe it is time for a little bit of a tour. Let's do this and do that. Oh, I got to turn on the key. That's what I got to do. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Look at that. All right. So this is 4th Street, just so you get an idea. There's the Tink Larson Field. It is spectacular. I've never seen some of the fields look as good as this as we've seen at Town Ball. Now you're looking in the background, you're saying, oh, there's some clouds, but wow, the sun has popped out and it is spectacular. Let's give you a quick look at the 7-day forecast, and I think you're really gonna like it because today the humidity broke. Dew points were in the 50s, high temperatures were in the 70s. How's it going? Now, as we get into the day tomorrow, upper 70s and low 80s, very quiet day, plenty of sunshine. But then into the day Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, it is going to get hot. High temperatures in the upper 80s, touching the low 90s. With the dew point in the upper 60s touching 70, we're going to see feels like temperatures in the mid 90s this weekend. It is going to be a classic, hot, humid July summer weekend. All right, we're back live. And just to give you an idea where we are now, we're on 4th Street and 4th Street. We make a quick stop. We're about to go by St. Paul Lutheran Church. And here's one of the great things about being in a small town. Look at, I can just go wherever, hey, look at me, hey, hi. Oh, look, here's some kids. Let's tell them we're having a parade. Oh, first of all, we've got a stop sign. Hi, we're having a parade, hi, hi. It's a Waseca parade, hi. See, it's all about having fun. It's the Waseca parade. And so that, my friends, is a quick tour. Now, once we get to our final destination, Barney's, it is going to be all about hamburgers and the best car hop service on rollerblades you've ever seen in Minnesota. So for now, we're live on the streets of Waseca. It's the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour, and we're back right after this short commercial break. Hello?
Fox 9's Town Ball Tour is presented by St. Cloud Subaru and JTR Roofing.
And good evening from Waseca. We are live here at Tink Larson Field, just over an hour from the first pitch tonight. The Waseca Braves are taking on the Wanamingo Jacks tonight, and again, first pitch is at 7:30. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for tonight's Town Ball Tour as we enjoy the city of Waseca. This summer, we are, of course, highlighting amateur teams, baseball teams from around the state, and there's a celebration, which is this field at the end of the day. And since Waseca is dubbed the Braves, they've made it to the state tournament 16 times, winning it back in 1957. Town Ball Tour and Town Ball in general has a long history, and it has been so much fun to learn about all of these teams, what makes them special in their communities, and why the community comes out to see these teams play. Yeah, the field that we are sitting in right now dates back to the 1800s, but the grandstand is actually brand new. There was a fire back in 2016, and it took about 2 years to get this whole thing rebuilt, and it's a really interesting story with a lot of donors. I'm sure that just about everybody in town gave to this cause, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But first, we're going to go back to BC in the studio with a look at...
It was a fire that came to define modern town ball culture out in Waseca. The community learning how to pick up the pieces of their own town's history. Let's send it out back to Waseca, where Kelsey and our Paul Bloom are standing by with that story. Hi, guys.
Hi, BC. Yeah, when fire took this grandstand a couple of years ago, it's really unsettling for a lot of people in the community, Paul, because they weren't able to actually solve it or figure out who the arsonist was, if that was the case.
Yeah, 3 years later, still unsolved in terms of the arson, whether it was maliciously set, negligence, or even accidental. Something might have ignited underneath. It was an old wooden stadium.
Right.
And it went up in flames. And a lot of people that night, it was a huge fire, and it was witnessed by a lot of people. So it was painful. But you know what? This community rebuilt. They got a ton of donations, small and large, and now baseball is back.
I felt like a punch in the gut. You didn't know what was going on. Just disbelief. Couldn't believe that was actually happening.
Veteran Waseca Braves player Kelvin Nelson insists he will never ever forget the images, racing to the historic ballpark and then watching old Tink Larson Field go up in flames. He found it all the more upsetting when he learned it was arson.
What makes somebody want to do that? Whether it's an accident or not, it's still just frustrating.
I remember standing there watching it burn.
Joan Mooney is the executive director of the Waseca County Historical Society, where archives capture baseball at the heart of this community for well over 100 years, including some of the earliest documentation of an integrated team playing for the local mill as far back as the early 1900s. So it was no wonder Waseca quickly rebuilt Tink Larson Field.
It's a new story. It's a new story.
And while a lot of history was lost in that fire, the new stadium is absolutely gorgeous. The Braves and the other local teams who call the stadium home still breaking in their new digs that include state-of-the-art construction and modern amenities. The hope going forward is that the new Tink Larson Field continues to make memories for the boys of summer for generations to come.
I just think baseball is just probably the most American thing you can do in the summer months, and to have a town field is really important. It's so simple.
We kind of knew it would be back. What it would be like was the question. Is it going to be the same? Which, as amazing as it is, it still doesn't have quite that same feel. That old stadium was just awesome.
And let's be honest, those players, they do miss the old ballpark, but this new grandstand is beautiful. $1.9 million, renovation, rebuild. It started with the Minnesota Twins, a $100,000 donation, but then all sorts of small donations came in, not just from this community, but some of the town ball teams that they play would donate $100 as a club. And now here we are in this beautiful new space.
Yeah, so many communities can relate because they think, what would that happen, or what would happen if that happened here? You know, so it's so wonderful to see everybody come together, support baseball and support Waseca. It took a big effort to make this happen, and the Twins were a big part of that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how the Twins helped out in just a little bit. But first, we want to find Ian Leonard. I think he's getting a pregame meal right now, but he does have a preview of the forecast. And Ian, we have had some showers.
Yeah, we have, but they've been real light sprinkles. Look, I was the one touring in a convertible and just a little light rain, but you want to talk cars. Oh my gosh. It's an old school drive-in. We're at Barney's on the lake shore of Clear Lake. And you're thinking to yourself, old time car hops, roller skates, Ian Leonard. You see where we're going with this? Time for a little car hop service. Sam and I, we're live from Waseca and the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour right after this.
We are back at Tink Larson Field right now down in Waseca. Live this evening ahead of the Braves game. They are facing off against the Wanamingo Jacks at 7:30. It is a doubleheader kind of night right now. We have the local youth VFW team playing. This is always a busy field because it hosts the high school, Legion, VFW, and of course the Braves as well. It has been a cooler and kind of cloudy day here. We've actually had some rainfall. The sun's shining right now, so we hope that means good things for 7:30 tonight. But we want to check in with Ian Leonard for a look at the forecast, and rumor has it that he's been tearing up the town of Waseca. Ian?
Yeah, we had our own little private parade. It was a good time all the way down 4th, and then we made a left turn on Elm, and that brings us all the way here to the shore of Clear Lake, Minnesota. And this is Barney's driving, and joining me right now is Sam. And Sam, show him your skates. Look, ooh, ah, oh. Now let's show him my skates. Ooh, ah, oh. So this is an old school drive-in.
Yeah, it is.
And you roller skate and take orders out.
I do, yeah. It's pretty fun. It's a little nerve-wracking. When I first started, I might have spilled a little, but since then I've gotten pretty good.
A little, and you're like a roller girl.
I am, yes. I play roller derby for Owatonna's team. We're starting out. We have 6 girls, and I help coach that team. And I also skate with Mankato's team every now and then.
What's your nickname? What's your skate nickname?
Sammy Sucker Punch.
Sammy Sucker Punch. And I'm hanging out with Sammy Sucker Punch. All right, so, I mean, this is a big night. Look, we've got all of these classic cars at a classic old drive-in. You're going to teach me how to deliver a tray with skates, right?
Okay, yeah.
All right, okay, let's go. No, very good. And hopefully we can get this done, because at some point we have to talk about a forecast that has some light scattered showers still around the region. And wherever you are, a quick cloud burst is definitely in the forecast tonight, but we're not talking about severe weather, even strong storms. What we are talking about is trying to get these waters to that car. All right. Okay, so here we go.
It's heavier than it looks.
All right, I got it. I got it.
You
Here we
got
go.
it.
Here we go. Ready?
I'm going with you.
Yes! Hi there, Four Waters. Oh, look out. Hey, Four Waters? Sure. Yes, there you go. Hi. Whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, hey. There we go, perfect. Now, if there was a window, we would put this on the window. Yeah. But there's no window, that's fine. So let's talk a little bit about the forecast. With an empty tray and a really large rooster. It stays windy this evening with some light scattered showers in and around the region. As we clear the skies tonight, you're going to love it, because the humidity that dropped off today, it stays away tomorrow as we talk about sunshine and some decent temperatures. But as we move on into the weekend, let's talk here. High temperatures touching 90 and then some. That will also mean very hot and humid conditions. Dew points in the upper 60s touching 70. Most of the weekend we'll see feels like heat index numbers reaching the mid 90s. And of course, with heat and humidity, we have the chance to set off some thunderstorms as we work through the weekend and into early next week. It's an old time summer July weekend forecast. It involves fans and air conditioners and hopefully something like this. Now, I want you to know something. Those cars are too valuable for me to rollerblade around. So let's go this way. Come on, Doug. And we'll go for a little scoot. Here we go. This is what's called a Hellcat. That has 700 and some horsepower. And on the other side of the coin, that's a minivan. So we've got all kinds of cars here, Hellcats and minivans and Sammy Sucker Punch. By the way, we're about to head back to Tink Larson Field, because I haven't done it yet. I haven't unveiled my outfit so far yet, Kelsey. And it's very important for me to do that at some point tonight. It is a formal outfit. I want you to know that. I've brought a formal outfit because I love Waseca and respect this community so much.
All right. I hope it comes with a boa, okay? And the minivan is an American classic, I will say that. Well, a little bit ago, we talked about everything that this field has undergone in the last few years. After that fire in 2016, the grandstand was reduced to rubble, and the road to getting it back into the shape that you see now was a pretty long one. Last year's grand opening, 2 years to the day since that fire, was one that some people thought would never come to reality. In the end, the historic grandstand was brought back to life with the help of a friend in the baseball world. After flooding delayed rebuilding, funds to rebuild the grandstand were difficult to find. It wasn't clear how the city was going to continue their homegrown baseball tradition. And that's when Twins president Dave St. Peter helped to jumpstart the fundraising, donating $100,000 to the cause. The Twins understood the importance of Tink Larson Field better than most. Joe Mauer is just one of many now professional baseball players to play on this field as a child.
But we have something very special here in Minnesota, and I think that each community is special for their own reason. Each ballpark is special for their own reason. And whether it be Jordan or Waseca or Meesville, they all have something very unique, and I think that's what makes it so great.
The Minnesota Twins also donating 100 seats from the old Metrodome and 100 more from Target Field. So it's a mismatch, but a special mismatch here. The Minnesota Vikings and the Super Bowl host committee also chipped in $50,000 each to help with the $1.9 million project. And while the Twins and other local sports groups were essential in getting the job done, local groups held their own weight. And joining me now, the face of the local VFW, Steve Conkey. Thank you so much for joining me. And the VFW, well, we've got the youth VFW team on the field right now. You've been a big part of getting this field back together. So tell me about that.
We wanted to make sure the field was up and going, and so our youth had a place to play, where their idols are out there playing, and the younger kids see that, and they want to come up and play just like them. So we want to make sure we gave them a nice contribution.
Tell me a little bit about what you like when you sit here and watch a game, or the way that the new grandstand was put together. What makes it special?
It's just beautiful. It's just, there's not a bad seat.
Yeah.
There's not a bad seat. It's, everybody gets along good, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun atmosphere.
When you come to a game, is just about everybody in town here?
A lot of people show up, you bet. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Have you ever played town ball?
Town ball, no.
Okay. VFW or Legion ball?
VFW and Legion. I started out actually Knights of Columbus ball.
Okay.
Years ago.
And I don't know what the schedule's like, but when you host high school, rec, Legion, and VFW and town ball, is there a game going on just about every night?
There's something, yeah, pretty much every night there's something going on here. Yes, ma'am.
I know you guys hit a lot of obstacles trying to raise money, and at times the situation looked bleak. So what was it like? Did you have to pound the pavement and go ask people for money?
Yeah, we just kept, people realized what we had and then what we wanted to do. And I run into people on the streets from out of town and said, hey, here's $20, get it towards that baseball park. So I'd get it to them, and there was just even southern Minnesota, not just the community, people were donating.
As I was driving down just one town over, there was a big Waseca Braves banner up on a house.
Yeah.
So, it goes beyond Waseca for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And all the names of the donors are on a temporary placard over here.
Yes, they are. Yep.
So you can come and look at all of those names.
Sure.
And when you read that and you see there's hundreds of names there, you really get a sense of what this field is.
Yep.
And it's the People's Stadium.
Very good. Yes, it is. Yes. It was very good. Very nice. Very lovely facility. Beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all that you have done for Waseca as well.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for right now, but we'll be back at 6:30 with more fun in Waseca. Thanks for joining us in Waseca tonight. We're live at Tink Larson Field for Fox 9's Town Ball Tour Wednesday. Plenty of people piling into the stands on this beautiful night. We've had some clouds, a little bit of showers, but then the sun pops out, so I think we're all good. While this is only the second season at this version of the field, Town Ball is a big part of Waseca's history. Yeah, team photos date back to the late 1800s, actually. Back when they were the Waseca Ecos. They were named for a local flour company. In 1900, actually, there were 4 African-American players who helped to carry the team to victory in the state championships as one of the first integrated teams in the United States. Waseca Community Field was built in 1939, replacing a rickety old fence with a grandstand and some walls. And it stood for 77 long years. Eventually, it was renamed Tink Larson Field after the head coach of the Braves. And then in 2016, there was a fire, sadly, that destroyed the grandstand here. And it actually has never been solved. It was put down as an arson fire, but still to this day, it's really unclear what the cause was. Now, Tink Larson, the man that this field is named after, was a big part of the fundraising effort to get this grandstand rebuilt. He's an assistant coach of the Braves right now, but he spent 50 years coaching the Braves, coaching high school baseball, coaching Legion ball, and VFW baseball, and he lives right down the street. So this is, hello, where are you?
Hey, what you doing?
The monitor has a delay, so I didn't know you were there. You're back from the diner.
Back from the diner, ready to have some fun. I mean, we're getting closer. We're an hour away from the first pitch.
I know. Where are your roller skates?
Take them off. It was dangerous.
You did a good job. I was worried. I thought that water was going straight into the car.
Right, you get back. You do what you got to do here. I got to go over there.
Keep that rain over there.
That's what I'll go do.
Okay. Well, Tink Larson, he has a long history, of course, as we were saying here in Waseca. The field was named after him in 1994. And this week, Pierre Nugent had a chance to get to know the man and the legend. And we want to bring in Pierre now with a look at his history here in Waseca. Pierre?
Yeah, Kelsey, there's a reason why this field is named after Tink Larson. He is a legend around these parts. He has dedicated so much of his life to this field, to the game, and his dedication really is second to none.
Tink himself is one of the greatest ambassadors our state has ever had for baseball.
When baseball is being played in Waseca, it's likely being played at Tink Larson Field, a fitting name for the park considering the man they named it after has been taking care of it for the past 50 years.
I love taking care of baseball fields, and I like to see it nice, and I like to see it, playable for everybody, and I like it that people can just come here and enjoy the game, and they don't, like the players don't have to do anything, and it's always ready to go, and I don't know, I just love taking care of ballparks.
Maintaining the grounds has truly been a big part of his life.
For the first 45 years, no one had ever touched the mound or the plate or the infield as far as fixing it up or anything.
When the grandstand burned back in 2016, it was a tough sight to see, but Tink's dedication never stopped. And his passion for the game, the field, and Waseca is admired even in the big leagues.
He loves baseball. He loves the Twins. He loves Minnesota. And he loves Waseca. So, Tink obviously was devastated with the loss of the grandstand there and all that had represented, all it had meant to that facility. But throughout that, he kept the field in pristine shape.
Larson has spent so much time working at the park, some might say he practically lives there. In fact, he moved directly next to the field so he could walk just a few paces to continue his work. At this stage, it's more than just maintaining a field. After all, his name is on it, but even if it wasn't, you get the feeling that Tink Larson would be taking care of the ballpark all the same.
I love it because when you're done, you look at it and say, oh, it looks beautiful.
And you heard Tink talk about how for the first 45 years he was single-handedly taking care of this field. It really is his passion. But in recent memory, he's an assistant coach with Minnesota State Mankato. They had a deep playoff run as of late, so he couldn't maintain the field as often as he would like. So he's just now starting to turn over to some of his duties to somebody else because, as he said to me, he said, at some point, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. Somebody else has to take care of the ballpark, and that's how Tink's legacy will live on here in Waseca. And we are live in Waseca for now. We're going to send it back to the studio. BC, we're going to send it back to you.
The countdown continues out in Waseca as the team gears up for tonight's big game against the Wanamago Jacks. And it's a family affair out at the ballpark tonight. We interview the coach and his son about their history out on the diamond next at 6. But first, Ian Leonard is out in Waseca with a preview of tonight's forecast for the big game.
Here we are at Tink Larson Community Field. We've got a VFW game going on right now. How do we think the weather is?
Weather's excellent. I just got back from Santa Fe, but it's a lot nicer down there.
Well, apparently it's nicer in Santa Fe. We're going to have to talk about that. We've got a great forecast. We've got a great town ball tour. And we are live right here in Waseca right after the break. Say hello, everybody. Hello.
And welcome back to Tink Larson Field. We are counting down the minutes between until we get to tonight's game. 7 o'clock first pitch between Waseca and Wanamingo. And now we're joined by a father and son duo here in Waseca who have over 40 years combined playing and coaching experience here in Waseca. Blake Nelson, his son Kelvin, kind enough to join us right now. And guys, so much town ball history within your family. You are now managing the team, Blake. What is it about this team and this community that you love so much?
Yeah, it was, baseball. I grew up coming down to this ballpark, watching, a lot of older veterans play, and, continue to watch them come down as the next generation comes up through and playing. So it's really a community type atmosphere, and being a manager now, it's kind of fun because all the previous players that I played with, or they come down to the ballpark and they always critique my moves, so it's kind of fun that way. So I get texts every day saying, hey, you should have done this or you should have done that. So yeah, it's just a great community atmosphere.
Kelvin, you've seen your dad. You've played for your dad now for a little while. What's it like playing for Dad? Does it make for an interesting car ride home, maybe? Maybe are you one of the ones second-guessing your dad?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always tell him when he screws up, and it's about every game. But, yeah, it's been a blast. He's coached me my whole life growing up, and now here, too. It was a little more intense growing up than it is now. We're a little more relaxed, and now I feel like we bounce ideas off each other more, where before it was more of a battle.
That's because he listens more now than he used to.
Yeah.
You saw him, play for a long time. Is that what really kind of got you into playing baseball and wanted to continue to do it for a long time?
Yeah, coming down, and he's always coached. He coached my cousins growing up as well, so he was always bringing me to the field. Seeing him play, coming here, coming to all the games, it's just, you just really get the passion for it because you're around it all the time, and that's just something I wanted to keep doing, and just don't want to stop playing, just keep playing as long as possible.
Kelvin, Blake, we appreciate your time. I know we got a big game coming up tonight against Wanamingo. We're all looking forward to it. We'll see you guys out on the field.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. Kelsey, we're going to send it back to you as we count down the minutes between Wanamingo and Waseca.
All right, thanks, Pierre. Yeah, the VFW game behind us right now is wrapping up, and then at 7:30, we start that game against the Wanamingo Jacks. So the Braves are ready. I've seen a couple of the players actually doing laps as they get ready to warm up tonight, and we've had a couple of actually foul balls, even though there's a net here from the VFW game, come over us and hit the cars on the street. We are in the middle of a neighborhood, so that is one of the hazards of getting a close parking spot when you come here for a town ball game. Take a look at the field here from one of our drone shots. You can see how close the houses are. Tink Larson, for whom the field is named after, he lives right down the street. So wouldn't that be nice to just be able to walk across and catch a game most nights of the week? Because this field does host Legion, VFW, high school, and town ball. So there's a lot going on. All right, we've had some showers, but we are hoping that the rain stays off to some other place tonight so we can get this game in. Ian Leonard is out and about right now with a crazy outfit with a look at the forecast.
Yes. It is. It's one of those nights, Kelsey, where you think to yourself, what could I possibly wear for my final appearance at Town Ball for the great people of Waseca? And you say to yourself, Ian, you may have outdone yourself this time, because we didn't just do the bottoms. No. Waseca was worth a top and a bottom. A top and a bottom. And if you've been watching, we've been trying to give you a flavor of Waseca. We were in go-karts taking a tour of the main street. We've been on a trampoline in a backyard, and we were at Barney's having some old-fashioned milkshakes with an old-time car show on the shores of Clear Lake, Minnesota. All of that now brings us back to Tink Larson Community Field. Right now, a VFW game out on the field before the town ball game starts at 7:30 tonight. Here, follow me. Come on. Doug, follow. Come on. Here we go. Hi. Let's just see how people are. How's everybody doing here tonight? Everybody good? All right. Kelsey Carlson has decided to buy everybody a hot dog. Kelsey's very popular here at Tink Larson Field, isn't she? Hey, let's take a minute. Now, we're undercover. Let's take a minute and talk about the forecast, because there have been stray showers, and that's really the call for tonight. Stray showers on and off. And as we work our way through the next, say, 6 hours. A scattered shower is absolutely possible. A quick burst of rain, and then we are done. And the kicker tonight and today was that we lost those brutal dew points, those dew points of the last few days that had everybody complaining. Dew points in the 50s are easily the best part of this forecast tonight and into the day tomorrow. Very quiet weather tomorrow, but as we work into the weekend, we're going to crank the heat. We're going to crank the humidity. It is a summer weekend with feels like temperatures in the mid-90s, actual high temperatures topping out in the low 90s. So hot and humid, absolutely. How do we feel about hot and humid? I have a feeling you'll cheer for anything. How do you feel about dirty socks? Half and half. They're optimists down here in Waseca. And look, it is rare that A, you come to a ballpark dressed like this, and B, when you get to the ballpark, you find a dog dressed like you. Who is this?
This is Malovich. He's a hairless Chinese crested.
That's what I thought he was, sure.
Yeah. And he and I have designed an apparel line.
Fabulous. Is it anything like this?
Well, kind of. I mean, we do like funky patterns like your pants, which
Okay,
we
so
love.
let's see his thing here. Oh, very nice.
This is a custom shirt that we made just for tonight.
Oh,
Out
fabulous.
for the Tink grand opening.
I love it. And it says Waseca on it. That is a beautiful dog. And here's the thing. I'm going to turn on you here, Doug. Oh, it's a rundown. They got him in a rundown. And there we go. And the rundown's over. And I think the inning's over. So what we should do is say, hello, Waseca! Hello, Waseca! Whenever you see somebody who doesn't want to be on TV, this is what you do. You sit on their lap. When they don't want to be on TV, you sit on their lap. Isn't this fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, she doesn't think this is very much fun. BC, we're going to send it back to you in the studio. That's it. It is town ball, and she's not a friend of mine anymore. Yeah, come on, let's go back and do it again. Yay! Are we best friends now? Yes, we're best friends now. Yes, yes, yes. Back to you, BC.
All right, thanks, Ian. I'm sure. And the Braves are up to bat. We head down to Waseca for our town ball tour.
Fox 9's Town Ball Tour is presented by St. Cloud Subaru and JTR Roofing.
Waseca, Minnesota, home of Tink Larson Field. And there's Tink Larson himself dragging the field right now. This is something that he's done for more than 50 years. He basically brought this field up from nothing when he took a job at the high school 50-some years ago and made it what it is today. So since 1994, this field has had his name across the top of it. We are live on a beautiful Wednesday night. We've had a few showers, but we're hoping that it will all stay clear here for the game, which starts at 7:30. So it's 7 o'clock now. Welcome to the show and welcome to Tink Larson Field. It's been a great day. We just wrapped up a VFW youth game, and now we're kind of in between, and you can hear there are a lot of people here behind me. Waseca is just a short drive, about an hour and 15 minutes from the metro, just west of Owatonna. Now, the Wanamingo Jacks have traveled in tonight about an hour. They're from southeastern Minnesota, and we're looking forward to this matchup. You can see the two logos right there. So we have a great night planned for you. The game starts at 7:30. Of course, we'll be back out here live at 9 o'clock as well. Ian Leonard's out here to do his weather. He's been running around town, checking out the drive-in. He's been on roller skates. He's been in a go-kart. And now he's here in the stands talking with people. So we're going to be back in just a little bit to talk about the history of this field, a little bit about the fire that destroyed the grandstand just 3 years ago and how they rebuilt this. But for now, we'll send it back to BC for a look at the day's headlines.
Now, let's head back out to Waseca as we continue our town ball tour. Hi, Kelsey. Sure looks like you guys are having a lot of fun out there at the ballpark today.
Hi, BC. Yes, Wednesday nights are just great, and I'm so excited to be in Waseca tonight. We have decent weather. The rain has been coming and going, but the sun's back out, so that's good. And we have a great crowd out here. This is a brand new grandstand that I'm sitting under right now, but this field and this team goes back more than 100 years. And at the Historical Society, there are actually photos that go back to the 1800s when the team was named the Ecos, named for the local flour company here. In 1900, it was 4 African-American players that helped carry the team to victory in the state championship as one of the first integrated teams in the entire United States. Waseca Community Field was built in 1939, replacing an old rickety fence with a grandstand and walls, making it a real ballpark. And it stood for 77 long years. Eventually, it was named Tink Larson Field in 1994 after the head coach of the Braves here for a long time. And then in 2016, there was a fire, and to this day it has not been solved, but it burned down the grandstand and left a lot of rebuilding in its wake. You know, it was that fire that came to define this community because the community really had to come together. And it was actually people across the state that helped to fundraise to make this grandstand a reality. Fox 9's Paul Bloom reports that the first pitch was thrown out 2 years to the date, last year after that fire.
It felt like a punch in the gut. You didn't know what was going on. Just disbelief. Couldn't believe that was actually happening.
Veteran Waseca Braves player Calvin Nelson insists he will never ever forget the images, racing to the historic ballpark and then watching old Tink Larson Field go up in flames. He found it all the more upsetting when he learned it was arson.
What makes somebody want to do that? Whether it's an accident or not, it's still just frustrating.
I remember standing there watching it burn.
Joan Mooney is the executive director of the Waseca County Historical Society, where archives capture baseball at the heart of this community for well over 100 years, including some of the earliest documentation of an integrated team playing for the local mill as far back as the early 1900s. So it was no wonder Waseca quickly rebuilt Tink Larson Field.
It's a new story. It's a new story.
And while a lot of history was lost in that fire, the new stadium is absolutely gorgeous. The Braves and the other local teams who call the stadium home still breaking in their new digs that include state-of-the-art construction and modern amenities. The hope going forward is that the new Tink Larson Field continues to make memories for the boys of summer for generations to come.
I just think baseball is just probably the most American thing you can do in the summer months, and to have a town field is really important. It's so simple.
We kind of knew it would be back. What it would be like was the question. Is it going to be the same? Which, as amazing as it is, it still doesn't have quite that same feel. That old stadium was just awesome.
And the total cost on that rebuild, $1.9 million. It is interesting to point out that I did speak with police investigators on Wednesday about that fire 3 years ago, and they still don't know to this day whether that fire was maliciously set or perhaps more of a negligence or even an accidental type ignition. They are hoping with the attention of the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour that people will think back to that day, and if they have any tips, they still would like to know what caused that fire that burned down the old grandstand here at Tink Larson Field. Reporting from Waseca, Paul Bloom, Fox 9.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. It would be nice to get that case solved so that everybody would know. Kind of leaves everybody with a little unsettled feeling. And it was a long road to get back here. Again, last summer, it was a grand reopening, and the first pitch was thrown out 2 years to the date after that fire. In the end, the historic grandstand was brought back to life with the help of a friend in the baseball world, a pretty big name. After flooding delayed rebuilding, funds to rebuild the grandstand were difficult to find. And it wasn't clear how the city was going to continue their homegrown baseball tradition. And that's when Twins president Dave St. Peter helped to jumpstart the fundraising effort, donating $100,000 to the cause here.
Tink obviously was devastated with the loss of the grandstand there and all that had represented, all it had meant to that facility. But throughout that, he kept the field in pristine shape, and he was patient. He allowed some time to pass, but also for a fundraising effort to mobilize. And ultimately, I know he has had a lot of input in the new grandstand that's there in Waseca, and one that he's very proud of as we go forward with the future of baseball in that community.
And the Twins understood the importance of Tink Larson Field better than most. Joe Mauer is just one of many now professional baseball players to play on this field as a child. The Twins also donating 100 seats from the old Metrodome and 100 more from Target Field, so there's a nice hodgepodge here with a lot of special meaning. The Minnesota Vikings and the Super Bowl host committee also chipped in $50,000 each to help with the $1.9 million effort here. And also, if you are out at Target Field, there is a tribute to Town Ball. There's a great historical perspective. It's like a Town Ball lounge that's dedicated to Town Ball history in Minnesota. If you have not seen that before, you need to go check it out. We've got the sun out here again, and we have Ian Leonard sitting in the stands, or at least that's where he was the last time I saw him, just hanging out with the fans. And Ian, you took your jacket off, so what does that mean?
It's gorgeous out here right now. The sky has opened up. It is blue, and it is lovely. I wanted to come down to the field because earlier we weren't allowed to. This is gorgeous. The crowd is ready. It is Tink Larson Community Field. It is the second to last day of the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour. Town Ball. It is a glorious tradition, and we are so happy to be live here in Waseca for you. We're live after the break with your forecast as we talk about a very hot, humid weekend in store. We'll see you back here live from Waseca in a minute. Yes, we are live for the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour. It is a beautiful evening in Waseca with the Fox 9 drone high above Tink Larson Community Field. We are approximately 15 minutes from the first pitch, and I've got to tell you, coming down Highway 13, staying off the main drags, coming through all of the beautiful small towns, and coming to this glorious community of Waseca, it's been a great day for me. I hope everyone has enjoyed our little show so far as we try and show you what's been going on. So, you know, you always think about yourselves having a conversation. So, Bob, what do you think of that Leonard guy? You mean the guy who jumps into frozen lakes? Yeah, that guy. What do you think of him? Oh, I kind of like him. He's real good. Don't try this at home. You know, sometimes when you've been on camera a lot, these sorts of things happen. Thanks for joining us today, gentlemen. But as we work through this evening, it is going to be a spectacular night. And for my money, one of the reasons the forecast is so good is that we have dropped our dew points below 60. In other words, we have lost that brutal humidity that has dominated the forecast over the last few days. So let's look at the 7-day forecast because there's a pretty decent roller coaster setting up for you here. A lovely day tomorrow, quiet, without high levels of humidity. So that is perfect, but it won't last because we'll begin to crank the heat and the humidity as we work into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. High temperatures touching 90 with a dew point in the 70s. You can bet it is going to feel more like the mid-90s, and because of the heat and the humidity, we'll absolutely have some instability as we head through the weekend. A chance of storms heading through Sunday into the day on Monday. Yeah, but it's summer, man. That's a fabulous-looking weekend for getting through stuff like that. And, you know, whenever you come down to a town ball game, it's always important to, hi, come here. It's always important to hang out with people. And this girl in particular, I'm telling you, I like to think of myself as kind of a fashion maven. Perhaps maybe fashion icon might be overdoing it. But you, girlfriend, my goodness. Can I tell you something? Do you want to trade glasses?
You want to try his on?
Yeah, here, you try mine and I'll try yours. What's her name? Eve. What's your name? Eve. Her name is what? Eve. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my name is Ian, and you're Eve. Listen, girl, you have got it going on. Because here, I'll give these back to you. And so, basically, you have a lollipop and so do I. How old are you, Eve? Watch this, we'll see if we can get an answer. You're 3? Uh-huh. And what do you want to be when you grow up?
A mommy?
A mom, I love it. Did you? So, at this point in her life, she's choosing clothes or you're choosing clothes?
Her, yeah.
Yes! You are so awesome, Eve. I love it. You know what? And the great thing is, I've got a skirt like that at home. So I sure am glad we didn't wear it. That would have been crazy wearing the same skirt together, you and me, Eve. Forget about it. Thank you, Eve. Can I have some love here? Give me some knuckles.
Oh, you know nuts.
Give me some. There, I got knuckles. And here comes. You ever get shut down by a 3-year-old at Town Ball? Just got shut down, but I love her. That's what it's all about, having fun at Town Ball, because Town Ball is about community. Town Ball is about family, and tonight, Town Ball is about some decent weather. So we'll send things back to you, Kels. It's a lovely night in a lovely community. I'm having so much fun here.
And you have an incredible impact on children. They just start grabbing their mother's arms. Please take this man away from me.
They just talk like crazy. I get near these kids and they're like blah 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 blah. I'm like, holy cow, the kid wouldn't be quiet. I can't believe it.
All right, you got to go back and talk to yourself for a while, okay? We'll see you in a little bit. We've had such a great time here tonight, and we haven't even started the game yet. That starts here in a few minutes, and you can see the players are warming up and getting ready. Pierre Nugent has also had a chance to talk to some of the players and some of the coaches, and he's had a chance all week to just get to know the town of Waseca. And Pierre, you are talking to somebody tonight who has been coming here since they were a kid.
Born and raised here in the town of Waseca, Kelsey. I'm talking with Marshall Colley, who used to be the student manager of the team. He broadcasted for the team for over 10 years, writing for the paper. You've done it all. You've seen it all when it comes to Waseca baseball. You were born and raised in this town. What does this team mean to this city?
It's just a pleasure to have everybody here to kind of be a culmination of our whole rebuild process of the field. It was a nightmare when it first happened. It was a dream trying to build it, and now it's a reality to have everybody come together and make this happen. It's almost a tearjerker just coming here every time, just seeing all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into rebuilding this facility.
Yeah, you mentioned to me that you were very emotional when it burned down in 2016, when the grandstand burned, and now to see it to where it is right now. What are the emotions when you see it as it is right now?
I just have tears of joy inside. It's like, I just wanted to give my best friend Tom a big hug and, saying, hey, we're here, man. We're watching ball. That's what it's about. And it's about the kids. We want to see the kids playing again and rebuild the rich Waseca baseball program that we had for so long. And it's hopefully this will be the beginning of something special here in a few years.
You've been around this team for so long. You remember what it was like to see them win a state championship. What would it mean for the city to see them get back to that level at some point in the future?
That would make me smile from here to heaven. Tink's first wife Sharon passed away a few years ago, and we miss Sharon. And I know Sharon is smiling up in heaven today, seeing everybody here.
Marshall, we appreciate the time. I know this city and this town and this team means a lot to you. We appreciate you talking with us for a few minutes.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Marshall Colley, again, a longtime broadcaster here for the Waseca Braves. He lives, eats, and breathes Waseca baseball, just like a lot of other people that are here in town to watch Waseca take on Wanamingo and BC. As you can tell, town ball just another special town with another special tradition as we go across our town ball tour.
Yeah, definitely want to pay Waseca a visit one of these days. Thank you, Pierre. Let's take things back out to Waseca, where the Braves are taking on the Wanamingo Jacks tonight. Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard out there exploring the city and the ballpark. He's standing by with the forecast now. Hi there, Ian.
Hi, BC. How are you? How's the studio? Let's talk about the fact you're there and we're here. Maybe we shouldn't. Don't want to make you upset because it is a lovely night in Waseca. And look who I found. Kelsey Carlson. We're front row here as you're on our dinner break. Hold on. This is what you have to open up. Open up. No, you have to. No. That's a baseball. It's a baseball thing. You got to open up.
No.
It's a baseball thing. Doesn't she? She should open up her mouth, right? She should, shouldn't she? Yeah. So just a little bit. Come on. Okay, so, here's the thing. This is baseball. I mean, this is part of baseball. You have to have sunflower seeds. You got to spit like that. Sorry, almost hit that. Sorry about that. All right, so it's a lovely night. We had a few scattered showers.
Yeah,
but
great.
Waseca is a really dynamic community. There's a lot going on.
Yes, it's a beautiful community. But the center of the community is right here.
Town ball tour.
This is the gathering spot.
Tink Larson Community Field. The one thing I always drive Main Street when we come into town, and then you meet people, you meet the Remax guy, and I'm like, I know where your office is. And he goes, how do you know that? I said, well, I drove Main Street. He's like, well, I'll be darned. And that's what I love about coming to a small town.
And the drive-in, too. The drive-in where Betty had their classic cars and just come and just hang out.
That's Barney's.
Barney's, yeah.
Troy owns Barney's, and me and Troy we're very tight now.
Yeah. I have a question. Have you perfected how to break the shell off of the sunflower seed in your mouth?
Mm-hmm.
I kept the book for my high school baseball team, and I could never figure that out. And some people could, like you just did that. How do you do that? How do you shoot out?
Let me explain it to you this way. Have you ever been able to tie a cherry stem with your tongue?
No.
That's the problem. I'm going to keep eating my sunflower seeds. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the forecast. Today, you might have noticed we lost the big-time humidity. Dew points dropped below 60. It was kind of that feeling. It is going to be that way overnight and into the day tomorrow. But as we work our way into the weekend, dew points go back up into the 70s. Temperatures rise into the upper 80s and the low 90s. It is going to get hot. It is going to get humid. But it's July, and it's supposed to get hot and humid. Feels like temperatures this weekend in the mid-90s, so hopefully your air conditioning, your fans, or your time at the beach or the lake helps cool you and the family down. For tonight, still a few spotty showers around. I was just looking at Fox 9 radar on the Fox 9 weather app. A few showers around, but a quick burst of rain, and then we're finished. And I can tell you, for the first time in my life, the only time I've ever done the weather segment with a full mouth.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Even after the fair?
Fair's,
I don't believe you.
The fair is different. Fair is all about eating. This is all about baseball and sunflower seeds. Got to spit. Ready?
That's right.
1, 2, 3, spit.
Yeah. And actually, you should yell at somebody that they're not doing something right.
Right now, better, swing, better. How's that?
That's right. We'll be friendly to the umps, though.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
We're
it's
gonna
beautiful out here.
send things back to you, BC. Kelsey and I have a whole bag of sunflower seeds that we have to eat, so we hope you ready, spit. You can't do it.
Are you going to spit? Does he spit?
Ready, spit.
Go.
Good job, I guess. I don't know what to say to that. Thanks, Ian. Our crew will be in Waseca all night. Head on down to Tink Larson Field to be part of the fun and use the hashtag Fox9 Town Ball Tour to be featured here. And our Fox 9 Town Ball Tour continues next week. Next week we'll be in Chanhassen as the home team, the Redbirds, take on the Minnetonka Millers. Well, it's going to get... All night we've been live at Tink Larson Field in Waseca as we continue our Fox 9 Town Ball Tour, where the Waseca Braves are playing the Wanamingo Jacks. Waseca Community Field was built in 1939, replacing a rickety fence with a grandstand and walls. It stood for 77 years, eventually renamed Tink Larson Field after the head coach of the Braves. But in 2016, tragedy struck. The field was burned down by an arsonist who was never caught. Now Tink Larson Field stands again after statewide funding efforts. Tink Larson is the assistant coach of the Waseca Braves and has been coaching the team for 50 years now. The field has carried his name since 1994. Our Pierre Nugent spent the week getting to know Tink.
Tink himself is one of the greatest ambassadors our state has ever had for baseball.
When baseball is being played in Waseca, it's likely being played at Tink Larson Field, a fitting name for the park considering the man they named it after has been taking care of it for the past 50 years.
I love taking care of baseball fields, and I like to see it nice, and I like to see it, playable for everybody. And I like it that people can just come here and enjoy the game, and they don't, like, the players don't have to do anything, and it's always ready to go. And I don't know, I just love taking care of ballparks.
Maintaining the grounds has truly been a big part of his life.
For the first 45 years, no one had ever touched the mound or the plate or the infield as far as fixing it up or anything.
When the grandstand burned back in 2016, it was a tough sight to see, but Tink's dedication never stopped. And his passion for the game, the field, and Waseca is admired even in the big leagues.
He loves baseball. He loves the Twins. He loves Minnesota. And he loves Waseca. So, Tink obviously was devastated with the loss of the grandstand there and all that had represented, all it had meant to that facility. But throughout that, he kept the field in pristine shape.
Larson has spent so much time working at the park, some might say he practically lives there. In fact, he moved directly next to the field so he could walk just a few paces to continue his work. At this stage, it's more than just maintaining a field. After all, his name is on it, but even if it wasn't, you get the feeling that Tink Larson would be taking care of the ballpark all the same.
I love it because when you're done, you look at it and say, oh, it looks beautiful.
For the first 45 seasons, Tink was taking care of the field all by himself, But one season recently, Tink did enlist some people to help maintain the field. It's time once again to step up to the plate. Fox 9's Town Ball Tour continued with a visit to Waseca.
There is a rich tradition of town ball there, one that actually was threatened by a fire at Tink Larson Field. Fortunately, it's now been rebuilt, and even the Minnesota Twins have pitched in to help out. After flooding delayed rebuilding, funds to rebuild the grandstand were pretty difficult to find. And that's when Twins president Dave St. Peter helped to jumpstart that fundraising. He promised to donate $100,000, as well as some seats, 100 from the old Metrodome and 100 more from Target Field. And with that help, the $1.9 million project started to look more realistic.
The tragic way that the grandstand there burned to the ground, I think it presented an opportunity for the Twins to play some small role and maybe help lead a community to restore a historic grandstand, to ensure that baseball would once again be played on that same site, and that the kids of the future generations will have the chance to experience the same thing that all the previous generations had.
It was 2 years to the day after that fire that the Braves threw their first pitch at the new Tink Larson Field. The Minnesota Vikings and the Super Bowl host committee also chipped in $50 grand each. The Twins understood the importance of Tink Larson Field better than most. Joe Mauer, just one of the many now professional baseball players to play on that field as a child.
It's been a great night in Waseca. Let's head back out there to our Kelsey Carlson. She has more on all the fun she and the rest of the Fox 9 crew have had today. Hi, Kelsey.
Hey, guys. Yeah, you couldn't ask for better weather. It's almost a little cool. We put our jackets on tonight.
You know what? It's a lovely night. Some of the town balls have been very schmitzy at this time of night. It's nice out.
Yeah, so I think we lucked out. Great location, great weather, great night for town ball. Waseca just scored. They're losing, though, to the Wanamingo Jacks 6-2 right now.
6-4.
Oh, 6-4.
Just an update for you here on the score, Kelsey. It's 6-4.
They're coming back, and there's still plenty of time.
The Jacks hit a couple of jacks
yeah.
last inning.
Have you been shagging foul balls?
Yeah, you know, I was just ready. I was stretched and ready in case they needed me.
Yeah.
The Wanamingo Jacks asked, and I said, no. I'm here for Waseca. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
you are here for Waseca. You have been all over this town today.
You know what? Here's what I think. I always think when we come to these towns, we should show off how much fun the towns are.
Yeah.
The ballparks are incredible, and town ball is fun too. But today was, well, we had an Ian Leonard impromptu parade.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think we have some video of this. You found these cars are available. You can ride them around town, right?
Yeah.
So how much are they to rent?
Like $1 billion, but I just put it on the Fox 9 credit card, so it was really no big deal. But
it's like a motorcycle car.
It has a moped license. And you can just go all over the place, and you can have a blast. And you know what? Your kids can sit in the car, and from there we went to the drive-in and did a little stuff on some rollerblades. And, you know, this town has not, now, let's be honest, some towns shrivel up and die when technology takes over and malls move in and some of the mega retailers. This town hasn't. This town is vibrant and fun, and there's so much to do here.
We need to bring in a member of the community.
Yes,
Speaking of
Wayne
all
Rathman,
the
come on in.
Wait, something's happening. All tied up. See?
Tie game, Fox 9
we
is
said
good
they're
luck.
coming back.
Okay, so Dwayne Rathman joins us now. Thank you very much. We're taking you away from the game. That's all right. But the ballpark we're in right now happened with community involvement and you driving that bus.
It did. A lot of community involvement. Waseca, regional, state, even national support for this stadium to rebuild. And so there was a lot of want to make sure this thing was replaced at its iconic quality that it started back in 1938.
Yeah, that fire happening in 2016. Still, the cause is not known.
That's true.
But the night of that fire, did you think you guys were going to be able to rebuild this as quickly as you did?
You know, we really didn't know. And on top of that, 3 months later, this town suffered a severe flood. So all efforts directed towards the flood and flood relief. Sure. And so it was kind of put on hold for a while. So this group of individuals came together that I worked with and said, we're gonna make this happen. So over the next year, we had a major fundraising fundraising when we put this together and we're able to build it.
I think sometimes you think too, town ball is a baseball field and a couple of bleachers, and this is far from a couple of bleachers.
Right. This is a nice facility, right?
Yeah.
If we hadn't gone ahead with the fundraiser, we might be sitting on a bench and looking through chicken wire. But this is great. We actually have target field seats here, a great grandstand, brand new restrooms, concession stands, access for the elderly that we didn't have before. So it's a great facility.
Hundreds of people donated, so the people, when they come to the game, they can say, I was part of this.
Right. There's over 500 individuals, organizations, and companies that donated to this cause.
I'm really impressed when you look at the big donors, how the Minnesota Twins and the Pohlad family donated a lot of money.
They did. They really got the ball rolling on this project. They were the first donor. They committed $100,000. Part of these seats actually came from Target Field, and so they really got the ball rolling. And after that, people said, "Oh yeah, I think this can be done." And so people joined in, and it happened.
Thanks, Dwayne. You were talking about how small towns sometimes they lose that because of technology and people moving out. They lose that charm. But town ball is one thing that we just need to stay the same. It's a tradition that's been around since the 1800s, and sometimes you just need some things to just be the way they've always been.
You know what would help there, Kelsey, is your favorite weatherman maybe playing second base or shortstop. I'm just saying, to all the teams out there, I'm just saying.
Don't lose the game for them, though, okay? I'm just saying.
Well, you're just saying, I'm just saying. We're just saying.
All right.
She's saying, I'm saying, we're saying.
We've had a great time out here, and I hate to send it back to you guys, but Amy and BC, you have other things you need to talk about, so we'll check back in with you, doing weather in just a little bit,
We'll
okay?
have the weather forecast in a little while, 9:30.
Okay. Go Waseca Braves. Thanks, guys. All right, well, we had some showers roll through the metro here late this evening, and we thought, oh, I wonder how things are out in Waseca.
Yeah, but it turned out to be a beautiful day for baseball. And Ian Leonard joins us live in Waseca, and looks like he's sitting in the stands. The game's still going at this hour?
Game's still going. We're tied at 6 in the top of the 9th. Ooh, it's a bit of a barn burner here in Waseca, and I find myself sitting with
Lindsay.
Lindsay, and Lindsay said, I sat down next to her and she said, oh, do I win something? I was like, yes.
Pants.
She wanted to win my pants, and frankly, Lindsay, things are getting a little weird. But let's, so you're a Wanamingo fan.
Yes.
You're in Enemy County. What's going on here?
I love it.
Really?
Yeah. This is a nice stadium.
This is a really nice stadium, isn't it? You know,
It's hard to get in here.
we've been doing the Fox 9. Yeah, that's right. The Town Ball Tour, we've been all over the state. There are stadiums, it's $1 or $2 to get in. There's no charge to get in. This is brand new, and it is gorgeous, right?
Yes, it's so nice.
And even if we had rain, it wouldn't matter because we're covered.
Yeah, we're undercovered.
Yep. Okay, so did you like the forecast today?
Yeah, it was great.
What was the best part about the forecast today?
Sunny.
And what else?
With a chance of rain.
You are the best meteorologist ever.
Yes.
Sunny with a chance of rain and meatballs. Okay, so let's talk about this. Here we go with the forecast. Tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day because we're going to keep the humidity away, which is really important.
Helps my
Dew
hair.
points in the upper 50s, my hair too. I know it. Preach, sister, preach. As we get into the weekend, though, the high humidity comes back as we talk about dew points hitting the upper 60s, touching 70, temperatures in the upper 80s and the low 90s. It's going to feel more like the mid-90s. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid.
Great
and Lindsay,
day for the beach.
Right. Lindsay, you and I are going to have terrible, bad, wicked hair.
We are.
Are you going to be okay with that?
It's going to be humongous.
By the way, your hair tonight, fabulous.
Thank
Just
you.
going to say. I put on the, you're a Wanamingo fan.
Yep.
I'm a Waseca fan. So I've got on the rally cap here. We're tied at 6. It's the top of the 9th, and there's one out. And, ooh, a swing and a miss.
Looks like we're having extra innings.
What happened to the nachos you were eating?
I gave them to my nephew.
Oh, you know, the only reason I picked you is because you had
I'm gonna
nachos.
be sitting here and eating while we're on. You said it was live.
I know, but I just thought maybe
I would just not be able to control myself.
maybe a nacho for your favorite weatherman would have been nice, but no.
Well, my cousin Gavin, or my nephew Gavin, will give you a nacho.
Gavin, let's go. Come on, nachos up. There we go, buddy. There we go. This
nacho pants.
This is not. This
They're
is
my
nacho
pants
cheese.
because I won them.
No,
They're nacho pants.
We're not giving away the pants, but thank you for giving me the
Come
chips.
on.
You see what it's like when you sit with somebody who's a fan of the
Nacho
Wanamingo Jacks? You never
My
know what's going to happen. Get it. Got him. There you go. Hot dog. 2 out. Top of the 9th. Tied at 6.
Are you from Waseca?
No, I just like Waseca. I just like saying it. It's like saying the
What
word
about
salsa.
Wanamingo? I mean, Jax, when you say Jax, they're not so fun, but Wanamingo,
Wanamingo.
way more fun than Waseca.
Wanamingo and Waseca. That's who we're playing.
Wanamingo.
Rally caps are on. 2 down and tied at 6. We're going to send things back to you. Lindsay, I think I found my new co-host for the rest of all of our live broadcasts.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Me and Lindsay were hanging out tonight eating chips. By the way, these are nacho chips.
They're mine.
Those are yours, yeah. They're hers.
I think Ian and Lindsay need a late night talk show.
Yeah,
I would
hilarious.
watch that show.
Yeah, very
oh
entertaining.
My goodness. Good times in Waseca. All right. Well, welcome back. Tonight's Fox 9 Town Ball Tour pulled into Waseca to watch the Braves in action. They play at a historic ballpark. It's called Tink Larson Field, and it was actually nearly lost to fire. And it was that fire that came to define modern town ball culture in Waseca. Fox 9's Paul Bloom has a story of an opening day some thought would never come.
It felt like a punch in the gut. You didn't know what was going on. Just disbelief. Couldn't believe that was actually happening.
Veteran Waseca Braves player Kelvin Nelson insists he will never ever forget the images racing to the historic ballpark and then watching old Tink Larson Field go up in flames. He found it all the more upsetting when he learned it was arson.
What makes somebody want to do that? Whether it's an accident or not, it's still just frustrating.
I remember standing there watching it burn.
Joan Mooney is the executive director of the Waseca County Historical Society, where archives capture baseball at the heart of this community for well over 100 years, including some of the earliest documentation of an integrated team playing for the local mill as far back as the early 1900s. So it was no wonder Waseca quickly rebuilt Tink Larson Field.
It's a new story. It's a new story.
And while a lot of history was lost in that fire, the new stadium is absolutely gorgeous. The Braves and the other local teams who call the stadium home still breaking in their new digs that include state-of-the-art construction and modern amenities. The hope going forward is that the new Tink Larson Field continues to make memories for the boys of summer for generations to come.
I just think baseball is just probably the most American thing you can do in the summer months, and to have a town field is really important. It's so simple.
We kind of knew it would be back. What it would be like was the question. Is it going to be the same? Which, as amazing as it is, it still doesn't have quite that same feel. That old stadium was just awesome.
And the total cost on that rebuild, $1.9 million. It is interesting to point out that I did speak with police investigators on Wednesday about that fire 3 years ago, and they still don't know to this day whether that fire was maliciously set or perhaps more of a negligence or even an accidental type ignition. They are hoping with the attention of the Fox 9 Town Ball Tour that people will think back to that day, and if they have any tips, they still would like to know what caused that fire that burned down the old grandstand here at Tink Larson Field. Reporting from Waseca, Paul Bloom, Fox 9.
And Fox 9's Town Ball Tour continues next week. Chanhassen is in the on-deck circle and will be out at Storm Redbird Stadium to watch the Redbirds battle the Minnetonka Millers. Our coverage starts next Wednesday on Fox 9 News at 5, 6, and 7. And again at 9. Tune in or come out to the baseball park. Pay us a visit. We'd love to see you.
But before we wrap up our coverage from Waseca, there was baseball actually played tonight.
There was. Sports Director Jim Rich here now with an update. And this game was going even when our 9 o'clock newscast was going.
Yeah, it was great. Despite Ian's show, we've got some great baseball highlights to show you as well. Everyone having so much fun in our newscast. Sometimes they forget about the games. But we've got highlights from tonight's game at Tinker Field. Our Pierre Nugent is there and ready to bring you up to date on what's turned into a very tight affair. Pierre?
Jim, a very tight affair indeed. This game right now is in the extra innings. It was tied at 6 going into the 10th. Wanamingo has just taken a 1-run lead. So this game kind of turning into an instant classic right now. Let's get you caught up on how we got to this point. Let's show you what went down here at Tink Larson Field. Let's go right to the bottom of the second inning. Now, Waseca down 2-0 until Kyle Waugh drilling a solo shot to left center. That would cut the deficit in half. A towering shot, as it would be a 2-1 game. Let's go to the top of the fifth now. Waugh, again, making the highlight reel, but this time it's with his glove, robbing the Wanamingo batter of a hit. A terrific catch out in right field. Top of the sixth, though, the Jacks would add another run on the sacrifice fly by Connor Sweegum, scoring Alan Rosen. Wanamingo regains a 2-run lead. They would remain that way until the bottom of the bottom of the seventh inning. A 5-run explosion by Waseca in the bottom of the seventh to tie the game at 6. And as we mentioned right now, this game in extra innings in the 10th inning right now. Wanamingo currently leading at 7-6 in the 10th inning. Perhaps Waseca has another comeback in them in the bottom half of the inning, but as of right now, Wanamingo with that 1-run lead here in extra innings. We are live at Tink Larson Field in Waseca. I'm Pierre Newsham. Jim, back to you.